Greetings, viewers around the world. It was sometime after midnight Mountain Standard Time this morning when the news was flashed around the world that Donald J. Trump, the real estate tycoon and the celebrity television star, had been elected President of the United States in a massive political earthquake that was actually not expected by a lot of people. A lot of people were really shocked and really surprised, and there was, in a lot of quarters, consternation that Trump had been elected president. People just couldn't believe that it happened. I personally was not that surprised that it happened. It was something that in my mind was very possible that it was going to happen. And so why did it happen? Why was Donald Trump elected President of the United States, seemingly against all odds? Well, it's a matter of economics, a matter of money. I've heard President Barack Obama state and insinuate many times over the last few years that in order for anyone to get a good job now and in the future, they're going to have to get that 4-year college degree. If he hasn't stated it emphatically, he has at least strongly suggested that 4-year college degree is necessary to get a good job in the United States, and that anyone who thinks that we're going back to the old days of people being able to get manufacturing jobs with a high school diploma or other good jobs with a high school diploma or something less than a bachelor's degree, that those days are over and they're never going to return. So in the mind of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and a lot of other established Democrats, the path to individual prosperity is a bachelor's degree. If you expect to have a good occupation, if you expect to get a good job, you must get that bachelor's degree. Here's the problem. That's a no-go for most people in the United States. We don't even have 35% of the American population with a bachelor's degree, and we're not going to get anywhere near that. And the reason for that largely is the cost of higher education. People simply can't afford to go to college and get that bachelor's degree because the middle class families and individuals who used to be able to pay for college tuition and books and all the expenses associated with college, the incomes that people earn at the macro level just aren't that much anymore. People can't afford to go get that college education. And so you ask the question, well, what about financial aid? Well, yes, in the United States a lot of financial aid is available for education. But here's how that works. Say you're a college student and you get the maximum amount of financial aid allowed by law. You get the maximum amount, grants, work study, and so forth. What you'll find is that tuition, fees, books, and associated expenses take pretty much all of that grant money, and you're not going to have anything at all left over to live on. So if you expect to have money to live on, to have housing, food, clothing, and shelter, and all those things, you've got to have additional sources of money, and those sources can be, well, they can be work, for one thing. But here's the problem. Most of the jobs that are available to college students are going to pay approximately minimum wage or not much more, and the paychecks that they get from that work aren't going to come anywhere close to paying living expenses. Well, another source is getting money from parents and other relatives. But here's the thing. Parents and other relatives can't afford to do that anymore, because incomes for most people have been dropping for a very long time. And so the middle class families, the white picket fence and all that, that doesn't exist to the same degree that it used to in the past, where parents are able to pay their children's way through school. Now, some people are able to do that, and there's still enough of that around that if you don't know about the decline in the middle class, if you haven't been exposed to it, if it's not in your neighborhood, then you don't know that most people simply can't afford expenses related to college anymore. And then there's that third way, student loans. And what a crisis we've had with student loans. So people can borrow money to go to school. You know what some problems are associated with that? For the most part, student loans are not bankruptable in the traditional sense. You get student loans and aren't able to pay them, and the banks and the other lenders can chase you for the rest of your life, basically. And some people have resorted to moving overseas for the rest of their lives to escape student loans. Another problem with student loans is the fact that the jobs that people get once they graduate from college don't pay enough to be able to cope with those loans. So we have problems with what people earn, and the fact that manufacturing and other jobs requiring less than a college degree have been going away, but then the jobs that people get after they graduate from college don't pay enough for them to be able to cover those student loans. And so what does that mean? It means that because of the expense associated with getting a college education, that 4-year college degree is firmly out of the reach of most people in the United States, unless they want to get into the student loan trap and be chased by creditors for the rest of their lives. And that student loan situation is becoming more and more a crisis. Vast numbers of people who borrowed student loans to go to school and pay their living expenses can't pay the loans back because their income is so low. So if people aren't going to be able to get those 4-year degrees, where does that leave us? Now, I know supposedly Hillary had a plan to make college more affordable and so forth. You know what the problem with that is? The problem is that colleges and universities operate like businesses, and they keep raising their fees. They keep raising their tuition. They've already got it set up so that they get back almost all the grant money that is distributed in financial aid. And besides that, Hillary's plan would not have made it actually that much more affordable. She stated that students still need to work while they're in college, and that's pretty hard in towns where there are no jobs, because there are a lot of towns like that in the United States. And so it wasn't going to come anywhere close to the proposal that had been advocated by Bernie Sanders, and it really wouldn't have helped that much. If the bachelor's degree is going to be out of reach, and if it's not going to be the ticket to financial security and prosperity, what does that leave us with? It leaves us with the fact that we've got to do a lot more to protect the working class in the United States. The plumbers, the carpenters, the retail people, the restaurant people, the truck drivers, the people who work for railroads, the people who drive buses, the people who work in manufacturing. We have to do a lot more in the United States to support that type of employment. And anyone who says we can't go back to the days when those jobs paid a living is simply wrong. We have to go back to those days, because most people in the United States are never going to get that college degree, that 4-year degree. And if that's what it takes to be prosperous and to have a good income, then most people are never going to have that. And that's one of the reasons that Trump got elected. It's one of the major reasons, in fact, because people want those good-paying jobs back, and American politicians had better find a way to deliver, because if they don't, we may have another wild swing the next time there's an election in the United States. And Trump does have a couple of ideas that might actually help. He wants to spend a lot of money on infrastructure, except here's the problem. I don't know how you're going to do that and cut taxes, impose massive tax cuts at the same time. That's rather incongruous. So because of his desire to cut taxes, I rather doubt that it'll happen on the magnitude that he wants to do it, unless he finds a way to get revenue in. But infrastructure, if we really got committed to it, that would be a way to bring back some jobs. Renegotiating trade agreements could protect jobs and could also bring back some jobs, although it might not be to the same extent that it had been in the past. Controlling immigration could help somewhat. Now, I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, but I believe that one of the major causes of poverty, not only in this country but in other countries as well, is simply overpopulation. That the reason poverty is a problem is because we have too many people and not enough jobs to go around. Overpopulation. And I do believe that every country in the world has a right and responsibility to control its borders. Did you know that if you wanted to move to Canada, that you might not be able to do that it might not be that easy, because they're not just going to let anybody in. There's a process that you have to go through, and if you don't go through that process, they're going to send you back to the United States or wherever you came from. That's just the way that it's done, and every country has a right to do that. And anger over immigration doesn't have to do with ethnicity or anything of that nature. It has to do with the fact that immigrant labor does to a certain extent depress wages and make it harder for other people to make a living, and that's one reason that a lot of people get upset about illegal immigration. So there's three ideas that Trump has that could actually work and that appeal to a lot of people: renegotiating trade deals, controlling immigration, and the infrastructure spending might be the biggest thing of all. But here's the flaw in the plan. The flaw in the plan is he wants to go back to Reaganomics and have these huge tax cuts and, destroy and get rid of a lot of federal regulation. And we know, because conservatism has been the dominant paradigm in the United States for the last 30 years, that that's not going to work. If you go to this approach, we're going to cut taxes for the wealthy and cut back on regulations. That does not produce prosperity. It hasn't produced prosperity in the South, in the southern part of the U.S., has it? The most conservative part of the country you have these days is in the South. It's in the rural South, and that's also the poorest section of the country. The richer sections of the country are New York and California, which are actually blue states. And if it wasn't for those states, the South would be, for all practical purposes, Bangladesh. So that's the big problem with the plan. But the reason that people responded to Trump is that they want those good-paying working-class jobs back. And whether it's this party, the Republican Party, or the other party, the Democratic Party, some way, somehow, American politicians had better figure out a way to restore and protect the working class, because if they don't, the working class is going to visit vengeance on whoever is in office. And that's sort of what happened. You did see from time to time with Mr. Obama and sometimes Ms. Clinton and some others, this attitude of superiority, this attitude that maybe working class people were lepers or something like that, that the only decent people, the only good people, were those who somehow came up with the money to go get that college degree, or didn't get in trouble not paying back their student loans, or something of that nature. They seem to have a very condescending attitude toward the working class, and the working class picked up on that, and they resented it, and they acted on it. And that's largely why Trump won the presidency. Now, I haven't mentioned any of the hot button issues, any of the things that have people so upset about Trump and why he won. That's because those were not the reasons he won. He wasn't winning because of racial or ethnic prejudice, or keeping Muslims out, or being hostile toward Latinos, or not being sensitive enough toward African Americans. Those weren't the reasons he won. The reasons he won were economic. It had to do with the well-being of America's working class. To a certain extent, the middle class and the working class. People want those good-paying jobs back that don't require a 4-year degree. And they're going to have it one way or another, or they're going to punish whoever's in office. And that's just sort of the way that it is. And so, in the United States, we better figure out a way to protect and advance the interest of the working class, because if we don't, the working class is going to rise up in rebellion against the political class. And that largely is the reason that Donald Trump won the presidency. His appeal to the working class, the people who go to their jobs very early in the morning, work shifts, work by the hour, or have low-paid salaried jobs. Those are the people who put Donald Trump in office. It wasn't about hating immigrants per se. It wasn't about hating other minority groups per se. It was simply a matter of economics, suffering people who wanted something done, and they didn't see it coming from the current administration or a future Clinton administration. And that largely is the reason that Donald Trump won the election. People were hurting and they wanted somebody to help them. They didn't see that happening under the current administration or a future Hillary Clinton administration, and in desperation they voted for somebody they thought could help them. And that's the reason Donald J. Trump is now President-elect of the United States. Thanks and have a good day.